Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly talk about the Star Tycoon Booster Pack coming later this year in 2025. Now, just as a quick backstory, and I pulled up the post on Kickstarter created by Peter Sanderson. He's the creator of Star Tycoon. And I'm not going to read all of this off to you, but it just goes on to say, there is no upcoming expansion. They were working on it, but it just... Let's just say that the core game had so much balance and it was so finely tuned that introducing new stuff via an expansion was incredibly difficult to do. So they decided to take the best ideas from that expansion and put it into a booster pack. But on top of that, they did a survey. And, people could click on that link, fill out the form, and so on, so on, so on. So they got even more ideas. So at this point in the game, they're kind of like compiling a list of cards and, trying to get feedback from the community. How would you feel if it cost $9 with shipping being this? And I'll get into that later because I've got more information regarding that. Just a quick note here. There's a smuggling rule change. And it says the trade and smuggle action should be combined. This means that when you take the trade action, you still get your 2 trades. However, you can choose to execute one of the following lists. So you can do this, one of these 3 things. There we go. My mouse is working. Good. And he's going to be replacing the reference cards in that booster pack. So there's like a quick look at the old card versus the new card, and you can kind of see under the trade section here the differences. These new cards will be included in the new booster pack. And I know I'm using my hands a lot. I'm Italian. I can't help it. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about the backstory. Of course, there's ROM. You got to have ROM. It's Deep Space Nine. Anyway, go watch your Star Trek, kids. So that was a quick backstory on this whole expansion thing and why they decided to do a booster. So with all that out of the way, let's talk about the nitty-gritty details of this booster pack, and then I'll show you some of the cards. So I had a nice conversation with Peter tonight, and he was able to share a lot of this with me, and I had to write it down because there was just a lot. I think I already touched on this first section here. This regards the Kickstarter post, the best ideas from the scrapped expansion, so on, totaling 41 cards. This booster is going to contain 41 cards. Print and play will be available. So if you don't want a physical copy shipped to you, you can just order the print and play from their official website. And we'll get to that in a little bit. The estimated ship date is going to be September 2025. But this is going to be a first come, first serve basis kind of thing. It's going to be a limited print run, just so you know. It's going to be $9 US plus $8 shipping. That does not include tariffs. And the way he explained it to me, and I'm just going to not read verbatim, but I copied and pasted because it was easier. Every country is different regarding tariffs and all that. So you may or may not get a message or a note from your post office saying that you owe $5, $10 extra for the tariff. So that's what he explained to me anyway. I'm not really good at that stuff, but yeah. So the tariffs are separate from this $8 shipping, just so you know. They are shipping direct from China at the cheapest rate. Okay. And you can pre-order through the Star Tycoon website, and I'll put a link for you in the below description. It's worth mentioning the art is not final. I'm about to show you some cards. The art is not final. These are all placeholder, just so you know. At the moment, the solo mode cards are being balanced. In fact, I'll be running through a couple of solo test plays to try and figure out if the scores, the goal scores on the different solo cards are accurate, or if it's balanced and doable, or if it's too easy, too hard. Speaking of which, I did make a recommendation to Peter tonight as well, and he seemed to like the idea. I introduced the idea of difficulty modes, where if you're playing a beginner game, you would take -5 from the goal score. Or if you're playing easy, it's -3 from the goal score. And then normal would just be whatever the goal score is. And then hard mode is +3 to the goal score. So you can kind of aim for goals that are easier or harder based on, the average, the normal score. And again, that is going to require a bit more play testing, just so you know. But that is an idea I threw out there. He seemed to be very receptive of it. So, possibly look forward to that. I don't know. That's something I'll be house rolling anyway, regardless if he introduces it to the game. So let's go ahead and, gosh, I've got so many freaking windows open here. I think it's that one. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm. The older you get, the harder it is. So as I said, there is a solo mode in Star Tycoon, and there's a page or two dedicated to that in the rule book. However, and this is another picture I have to bring up. There we go, finally. Okay. So, yeah, I have about 50 sources or so in my OBS under this theme. I don't know. Some are hidden. I don't know what half of these are. The older you get. Anyway. So, behind me are the solo mode rules. Okay? You're still going to use those. However, with this booster, opposite direction, there we go. That is the supplement. The solo cards that you see off to the left there. Yep. Off to the left, those are the supplement rules that are in the booster pack. And I'm not going to read all of this off to you. If you want to pause and read it yourself, great. But to quickly sum up solo mode, you're going to be drawing a new goal card every game. You're going to be playing 3 games. That's called a run. You're going to be playing 3 games. And you have to get through all 3 games successfully. And each game you're going to draw a goal card. And the goal card will have a specific victory condition that you have to meet. Plus, you have to earn so many points that game in order to succeed. And to show you what that looks like, here's an example. So, there we go. Again, everything's backwards. So that 30 on the bottom there, that's how many points you need to get for game 1. And then 32 is how many points you need to get for game 2. And then that 34 there is how many points you need for game 3. Okay? So the point value, the target goal, will change. The point value, anyway, will change based on, what game you're on, that kind of thing. And I'll show you the cards in a minute. But that's the quick summary of solo mode. You're going to be playing 3 games. You're going to be drawing goal cards and trying to meet those. You're also going to be earning buffs, too. And there are cards for those as well, which is really cool. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the cards and see what they look like. Okay, now, again, keep in mind, the art is not final. In fact, some of the balancing is still being worked out. So the point values in some of these cards and the may be different. So I have to stress, this is in development. Okay? Okay. So I'll zoom in on these one at a time so that you can see them. This is a new company card. What's interesting on the very bottom there is that it needs 3 different planet colors, whereas, typically you need 3 yellow, 3 red, whatever. That's really cool. So, once per turn, you may spend an action to remove a planet from a full row, gain 1 point per planet removed. And of course, the starting resources in the rep are right there. The next one, we've got Nico's Discount Alien Relics. That's awesome. Once per round, choose 1 wild that you produce and swap all of your wild for that chosen wild type. Okay. And then we've got, this is Development 2 right here. Development 2 cards. Billboard. Okay. Pay electricity. I forget what those are. Energy credit. There we go. Energy credit or a piracy token to move this to any player's planet. Interesting. Okay. It's 1 point though. But you can move it. You can, move it to someone else. That's interesting. Okay. That's a cool idea. Convention Center. When scoring, you may choose this development brand. Oh, interesting. There's a little pie wheel on the bottom left. Okay. But you can buy it with 3 piracy tokens instead of spending the currency up on the top left there. Oh, this is crazy. Okay. Yeah, these are different. Then you've got Development 3s, which are really hard to get, but they're worth 5 points. And then plus something on the bottom there. Plus 2 capacity to this planet. So you'll be able to add 2 more developments to a planet with this included on it. So it just adds more room on that planet to build development cards. That's cool. And then you've got the Convergence Hub. When scoring, you may choose this planet's type or system. Okay, that will be useful if trying to like do something like that, trying to get a particular planet color or whatever. And then Merchant Enclave, if you achieve production supremacy, gain 2 points. Okay. Production supremacy is if you look at your OmniForge card, you'll see like, well, I don't want to get into it too much. Suffice it to say, if you're producing a lot of one color, and and that is the color that you're trying to produce the most of compared to everyone else, if you manage to do that, you've earned supremacy, and you get an extra 2 points for doing that, in addition to what you would get normally. But okay, so new events. So we're going to take a look at those. Volatility. During this round, whenever you move a trade marker, move it 1 extra space in the same direction. Yeah, that's pretty chaotic there. Overwork. Each player chooses to either gain their OmniForge production or gain a wild resource. That's a positive one. Supremacy. Choose any token from the bank and place it on your production supremacy target to set a new target. Yeah, like I said, in the beginning of the game, you normally like have one color that you're trying to get, like you're trying to produce the most blue or the most purple, whatever, but you can change that with this card. Interesting. At any time, remove the token and add it to your supply to revert it to the original target. Okay. Risky business. Each player flips the helper token twice. For each heads, gain an energy credit, or for each tails, gain a piracy token. Ooh, that is a little risky. Now, it says to flip twice. There's no may in there. So I don't think this is optional. This is not optional, which is kind of worrisome. Okay, so these are the backs of the buffs for the solo cards. So these are the buff cards, and I'll quickly put that in there. Now, the easiest way I think to do this would be to put this into my hand, I think. Or not throw it off the table. I want to grab it. Let's do deal. I don't know if there's a way to deal all of them. There we go. Okay. The number 2 appeared to work. So I'm going to, now that they're in my hand, I can kind of just zoom one at a time. So these are buffs. Keep in mind, you're going to be earning these buffs in solo play, from game to game. Start the game with a random partnership. That's a nice one. Power up. Start the game with an additional 5 credits. And some of these may be repeats from the rulebook over here. If you look behind, there we go. If you look behind me, start the game with an additional 5 credits. That is one of the starting buffs that you would possibly get, in the regular rule set. But again, they've turned those starting buffs up there into cards here. My finger is all over the place. Power up. Yep. All right. Next is Planet Express. Search the Development 2 deck for any off-world importer and build it on your home world for free. Amplify. Any points from communication arrays in this game are doubled. Any bonus actions from developments in this game are doubled. That's overclock. And then you've got Foundation. Draw the top card of the Development 2 deck and build it on your home world for free. Merger. Start the game with a second random company. You may use this company's ability as if it were your own, and its system-wide target can also be scored as normal. Silver Spoon. Start the game by taking your company starting token twice. That's well, I guess that's apt. Deep Deck. During this game, the Development 4 row has 8 cards rather than 3. That's going to be a lot of table space. If the event opportunity is drawn, ignore its effect on the Development 4 row. Okay. Any points from partnerships in this game are doubled, but cost purple resources more to purchase. Place purple resource on each partnership card as a reminder. So partnerships cost... Oh, wow, that's crazy. Double Forge. Start the game with a second random OmniForge. If you win this game, do not discard this to the box. And then lastly, Luck Crafter. Each time you draw an event, draw 3 cards and choose 1. Discard the other 2. So that was a quick look at the cards, the buff cards. Now, these are the goal cards. Those are the backs. And again, keep in mind, art subject to change and all of that. I'm going to go ahead and add these to my hand. I want all of them to. Not you. I want you. Okay. Well, maybe if I did that. Or I'll just do that. Sometimes Tabletop Simulator. Okay. Synergy. Build at least 5 of the following cards. Doubled ups allowed. Logistics Hub, Wellness Center, CEO Monument, Executive Retreat, Corporate Office. You can see the point cards, or the goal points on the bottom there. I don't know what they're called. But yeah, 30, 32, 34. That's how many points you need to succeed in that game. Export Mogul. Build 2 off-world exporters and make at least 4 transactions total using those exporters. Place a piracy token from the bank on the market to keep track of how many export transactions you've made. I don't know if they're called piracy tokens. I haven't played Star Tycoon in a few months, and when you've got 4,000 games in your Steam library and about 500 board games behind you, you lose track of what things are called after a while. And of course, when you're pushing 40, just saying, or 50, I should say at this point. Build at least 4 communication arrays, 1 convergence hub, and 1 convention center. That's the network goal. Pocket Worlds. Fully develop any combination of 3 planets with 1 or 2 capacity. Okay? And then maxed out, make sure that each of your planets has no capacity remaining. Okay. Syndicate, form at least 4 partnerships. Wildcard, achieve the highest score on the bonus point tile and have at least 4 planets that do not meet their targets. Have production of at least 6 tokens matching your home planet's production supremacy target. That's Overdrive. Then Colossus, build 4 megastructures on a single planet. Agro World, make sure that each of your planets produces at least a brown resource. Build Tall, have no more than 4 planets, including your home planet. Underworld, showed this to you earlier. Build a crime hub. Apologies, let's go ahead and move that over. Build a crime hub and have at least 7 piracy tokens. Oof, my goodness, that's crazy. In case my head cut off these ones, I'll show them to you real quick. But anyway. That's a quick look at the goal cards, and I think that's everything. Keep in mind the reference cards I showed you earlier on the Kickstarter post, not included in the sample that Peter gave me, but I am really looking forward to seeing what the final art is going to look like. I know he said his artist is really working hard on that, which is great. Again, I have to sort of play the solo mode a few times using these new cards, test to see if the points, the goals down here are workable, if they're okay, balanced, whatever. So I'll be working on that for a little bit. But yeah, so far it's shaping up to be a really cool pack. And again, just as a reminder, you'll be pre-ordering this through the Stardock official website. I'll put relevant links for you in the below description. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Take care.